Welcome back, listeners. I'm Robin Black, and this is It's All About Healing podcast. And we have a special guest with us again today, Miss Nandi Kaye with Nature is Bomb. And just before we begin, I just really wanted to just kind of tell you guys just a little bit about what just happened during prayer. We had prayer right before we started. And as she was praying, God showed me a vision of this tree. It came to me bright as day. It was a great big tree, and the colors that were coming off of the tree were yellow, green, and pink. But I didn't understand why, and I was led to tell Nandi about this tree, and she's going to tell the story about why God showed me this tree, and this whole episode is just about the different ways that God has shown up in our lives and how He speaks to us. And this is very profound. So, Nandi, tell us a little bit about this tree to begin with.
Yeah, I think I cannot tell you about the tree without telling you how the tree even gets introduced because it starts with me meeting a person. So when I was in Senegal, prior to leaving the States to go to Senegal, I wanted to go to the Gambia, but I was doing research and I found that people who were crossing the border, particularly foreigners, might have experienced more troublesome at the border, whether it was extortion or just issues with barriers of getting entry. So it made me a little nervous about crossing the border by myself. And God again had asked me, will I trust him? And I'm just like, okay, you want me to go into Africa again with with no plan. So I said, I did it before for 2 months in another, continent. Maybe I will do it again. And the day before my friend was leaving me in Senegal, sorry, the day my friend was leaving me in Senegal, we had went to a restaurant and I overheard two women talking in English. They were speaking in English. And I was like, oh, okay, I understand this, let me listen in. And then there was a part in the conversation where I was able to like chime in. And in chiming in, one of the ladies in that conversation had shared that she actually wanted to go to the Gambia as well and had some similar reservations about crossing the border herself. And I said, well, would you look at that? I said, well, maybe we're supposed to cross the border together because God told me to trust him and that, he will make the path straight and I will be able to do what I feel called to do. So we exchanged information and then we set up time to take what you call a set plus, which is a Volkswagen-like vehicle that fits 7 people. Then the driver would make 8. And it's the local form of transportation that people in Senegal and the Gambia take. And the vehicle does not leave until it fills up with all its passengers. And it's a long journey when you do the step class, but it's a very most culturally immersive way to kind of experience during the journey. So I was open to it and wanted to experience it. So we're taking this journey from Dakar all the way to the Gambia, to the border of Dakar, the border of Senegal and the Gambia and to Kadam. And then we get out there, then we continue our journey, we get to the hotel. And that was the first time that in this story that I'm realizing that God is making connections and that God is doing what he said he would do. And I'm trusting him in this process. So we stayed in the hotel and we, did a tour. And then she had shared with me that she was actually interested in going to the Gambia because as a child, she lived here for a short period of time. And while she was here, at that time, one of her siblings had passed away and they were young. So she wanted to come back to visit the gravesite of her sister. Yeah. And her father currently still lives in the Gambia. So we had to connect with him to get information about where the gravesite would be. The night before we're supposed to meet her father, we went to go get dinner and her phone either is lost or stolen. We're not exactly sure, but her phone goes missing. And now we have very little way of getting in contact with her father. So we knew that we needed to be at a certain building that was a multicolored building in a certain town, that we had to be there at, let's say, 11 o'clock in the morning. We tried to use my computer to get her access to her cloud to like get information for her father and text him from my phone, but he hadn't been as responsive. So I said, listen, I'm believing by faith that we can still figure this out. Like we could figure this out. We have the location, like a rough area of where to go to. So let's just hop in a cab, go to this town, look for that building, and just start there. And I
Mhm.
said, if you're willing to try, I'm willing to try. So let's just try. She said, all right, we can do it. Um, so we get in the cab, we get out at this building, and we're trying to ask people around, like, hey, is there a cemetery nearby? And most of the people in that area, because we were more in a village area, did not speak as much English. So they was like, we don't know, we don't know. So we kept walking. And I said to her, I said, what's your sister's name? I said, if you don't mind me asking, what's your sister's name? Because I would like to pray about her, and I would like to, speak to her, see if there's a way in which she can direct us and lead us to maybe where she is. And I said, if you don't mind, maybe you can pray to her as well, and see if she can provide guidance to you. And I said, look around and see if any of this area looks familiar to you from when you were a child. See if you can feel anything be evoked by being in this space.
Yeah.
So we walked quietly for a little while. And then I said, well, let me pull out my phone. So I looked at my phone, went to Google Maps, and I was like, let me see if there's like a something of land. Like there are houses around it, but there's just a plot of land and doesn't look like there's anything on it. I said, I don't know, but let's just go in this direction. I want to go see what this plot of land looks like. And we walk, and as we're walking, we get to a fenced in cemetery. We had
Mhm.
previously went to another location, but we found out that it wasn't a Muslim cemetery. So we were walking, and that's when we went to the second one that I just mentioned. And we walked around, and it was gated, it was closed in. And now, where you are walking, when you're walking on these roads, they're wide enough and bright enough that you can see anybody coming. So I need you to remember this.
Mhm.
When we walked, there was someone going in the opposite direction away from us,
Mhm.
and no one else is in that area. So we're looking at the gate being locked, and I'm like, okay, look, like maybe we could go around and find someone. And as I'm like saying this, I was like, let's just pause for a second.
Yeah.
I said, because we didn't get this far to not figure out what this gravesite is. Like, we need to know what this cemetery is. And just pause for a second. Then I hear someone say, can I help you?
Mhm.
I'm looking like, where did you just come from?
Right.
And
Yeah.
Robin, it was a girl in a bright pink hijab.
Really?
Yes, a
What?
bright pink hijab that she just like appeared out of nowhere. Because when I'm telling you, I can see down the road, and where I'm standing, I can see both roads.
Yeah.
I never saw her walking. I would
Yeah.
have noticed her because her job was bright pink.
Uh-huh.
Never saw her walking. And she's just like, can I help you? And I'm like, oh, hi, we came from America. We, have a sibling that passed away here. And we're wondering, like, is this cemetery a Muslim cemetery? And she said it is. And it's closed. And she said it's only open during, excuse me, it's only open during ceremonies, or like when there's something that needs to be done. I said, oh, well, is there any way that we can speak to someone to see? Um, she's just like, no, it's closed. Like there's no one. And then I'm like, okay, well, we came all this way. We were hoping that maybe we can find some information.
Mhm.
Um, and then she's like, come with me, come with me. So we walked back around. And I don't remember if this guy was sitting here or not. He might have been, may have not been. But across the street from the cemetery is a man in a blue, and I think it's blue and green outfit, sitting
Mhm.
across under a tree on a chair. And he comes across the street to us, and they start speaking in one of their languages. And he looks at my friend and goes, was it a young girl? And
Right.
we're like, yes. Around like, 7 or 8 years old, like young. We're like, yes. Is the father a Black American man? And we're like, yes.
Uh-huh.
And then he goes, come with me.
Uh-huh.
He opens the gate to the cemetery, walks us into the cemetery. And as soon as I walk into the cemetery, in the middle of the cemetery is this big, massive, beautiful baobab tree
Uh-huh.
with light shining through so bright into the center of the cemetery and right through the baobab tree that I just start crying because I'm just like, God, only you could do this. Only you could usher me to help bring her to this space. Only you could like keep my heart and mind open enough to have the faith to believe that if I just say a prayer and like I start asking and I just believe that there's a possibility that we can find this cemetery, that I found this cemetery.
Wow.
And then she got the moment to sit there at the cemetery and do what she needed to do. And it was just such a beautiful experience for me to just witness that faith in action, but also to like give her what she came to Gambia looking for, to give her access to that. And then after she spent some time there, we left. And as we're walking, we stop at a store to go get a bottle of water. And then in my head, I say to myself, I said, I bet you we're going to see her father. And at the moment the thought passed my head, she goes, oh, Nandi, there goes my dad. And I said, okay,
Wow.
God.
Yeah.
Okay, God. I know you're showing up. You're showing up right now. And I was just like, you can't make this up. Like, there's
Yeah.
no way I could ever place this on coincidence. Like, you cannot make this up. And it's like one of my favorite stories to tell about that encounter. And there's more to the story there, but I'm just gonna pause there to just sit in this moment because every time I tell the story, it just reminds me of just like what sheer faith can feel like, can look like, and what it could bring you.
Yeah. Because, and God is an experience. You know what I mean? A lot of people say, how can I believe in something that I cannot see? Right? We can't see air either, but yet here we are living and breathing. But
Hmm.
it's a feeling, and just like God is bringing to me that when, like I said, when we were praying, the colors that He was showing me, because when He shows me visions, it's so clear. It's as though, even though my eyes are closed, it's as though I'm looking out a window. And I think the reason why He was showing me those colors of the pink, yellow, and green is, one, your friend definitely needed healing. That's the green. The green brings so much healing. The yellow is joy. Maybe they needed to feel that joy of that sun shining on that tree. And then the pink, not only was the woman in pink, but pink, I think, is love. So it was, you guys were surrounded by a lot of love, because those colors are just very, very vibrant, is what He's showing me right now. And the sun must have really been shining, because I can really see how bright that tree is. And He just keeps
Yeah.
bringing it to view right now. So it is amazing how God shows up and how He's very much present in this podcast yet again.
Girl. Like I am like I'm in awe. I'm in
Mhm,
awe of the ways in which God has shown up in my life. And
mhm.
in moments where like I'm not even expecting or even thinking about it. And it sometimes is really, really small moments. And sometimes in this situation it's a big grand one. Um, it's just it's humbling.
Yeah,
It's humbling to be in a position to feel the grandness of God and my small individual self. Like
mhm,
it's a really beautiful experience, and it's something that I feel that most people, and if not everyone, can experience if they allow themselves to be open and receptive to feeling.
mhm.
Like it's in, like you said, it's an experience. Like you have to feel it.
Yes,
Sometimes you're not going to see it. Like you just have to feel it. You have to
yes,
feel it. And like they say, like Hebrews 11:1, faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. So like what I was doing in that moment was having faith that like was just, I guess, unbelievable. But I had enough faith to know that like something can happen. I don't know what. And then what needed to be revealed will be revealed. And sometimes it's just standing in that, and it's hard to, it really is, it's hard to stand in that, but there's beauty and discovery that comes from being in that place if you allow yourself to just relax in it. And
yes,
I say be comfortably uncomfortable, because it's not a
yes,
comfortable position to be in, right? Because it's like, I'm believing for, I have faith for, but like I don't know when it's going to come to pass, if it ever will, so it's just like be uncomfortable, right? But like be comfortable in that discomfort while you sit there and you continue with your walk.
yeah.
Beautiful things will come to pass. You just have to
And
believe.
it's funny that you say that, because that's what, because it's a lot about being in alignment, right? You got to be in alignment with that, with the higher power. And sometimes we say, well, I don't know when I'm in alignment. How am I supposed to know? And that comes from being uncomfortable, right? Because sometimes when you're in alignment, if you have never been in alignment, it's going to feel uncomfortable. So you're like, how does this work? How do I work through this? I don't know. I don't, and that's what God wants. He doesn't want you to know. He wants you to surrender everything. That way you lead, and he will allow him to lead you. That's what leading by faith and not by sight. And that's what it's all about. It is just like
Yeah.
when you just completely let go and just let God. And tell us a little bit about, I guess, one of your interactions with God, one of your times that it was just so profound. Just tell us a little bit about
You mean outside of the one I just shared?
that. Yeah, yeah. Tell
um,
us another one with you and yourself.
yeah.
Yeah.
Me and myself.
Mhm.
Well, this one is one that's coming to mind, but oh gosh, there are like honestly right now it sounds like noise in my head because there it feels like a lot of things are clamoring to come out to share in this
Yeah.
moment. But maybe I'll share this one, and if I can, maybe I'll share another one. But one that to me was just like also during this period of time that still shocks me that it even happened, how it happened, but how quickly it happened. So when her and I were leaving the Gambia to go back to Senegal, um, we wanted to take a different mode of transportation back, but we couldn't secure the coach bus, so we decided to do the SEP plus going back. Gambia is separated by the river, so you have to take a ferry from the Banjul side to get over to Bada, and then from Bada you could take a local taxi or one of the vans to the border of Karang, where you then do your processing to get into Senegal, and then take a sub plus from there to go to Dakar.
Mhm.
So we decided to take the boat over, and before we get on the boat, I'm eating a piece of watermelon, and I said to her, I said, "Girl, I'm gonna pray." And she looked at me, I'm like, "Yeah, I'm praying that." On our ride back, that we get a SEP class that is less than 7. She goes, "You do know what SEP means?" I said, "I know what the number is." I
Yeah.
said, "But God's gonna give us something that's less than 7. Like, you could say that that's the number, but the subplot that I'm praying for is going to be less than 7 people, and it's going to have air conditioning. It's going to be a comfortable, like newer version of a car, um, and that we're going to get back to the car in a shorter amount of time than what it took us to get here. I think coming from the car to Karang to the border, I think it took us maybe 7 hours, maybe 8. And then we were in an older version Volkswagen, no AC, windows down, dirt road, and like dust and stuff was coming in, which I'm fine with. I've experienced that before. But I was praying for an alternative route on smooth roads, AC. Like I was praying for that, literally the exact opposite of what I had coming. I was praying for that. And then I'm eating this watermelon. As I finish eating the watermelon, someone comes up to me and he's like, "Can I have some?" And I look at him. I said, "All that's left is the rind. Do you want it?" And he said, "No, no, no. I was just checking to see if you would give it to me." And I said, "Okay." And then I go back to doing what I was doing. That he starts talking to me. Then we get on the ferry. He's talking to me along the ferry ride. And then he tells me that he's going in one direction and I'm going in the other. So he's going east, I'm going north. And he said, "My driver's going to be on the other side. We can give you a ride to the border." I said, "No, no, it's okay. Like, I don't want to put you out of your way. That's complete different directions. And that's a lot of time added on. I don't want to do that." He said, "It's nothing. It's nothing." So I looked over to my friend and I said, "Are you okay with doing this? Comfortable with doing this?" And she looked at me. She said, "Well, if you're okay with it, then." I'm like, "All right, cool." So we get in the car with him. He helps us to get a bunch of snacks for the ride. We journey up to the border, and then he disappears for a second, and then he comes back. And then he's like, "This is your ride." And I look at her. I said, "Girl," I said, "That's an SUV." I said, "And guess what? It only has 5 people in it, including the driver." And I said, and she looked at me. I looked at her. I said, "My God don't play about me. My God don't play about me." And then when we were driving back, we were actually on paved roads going back. And I said, where were these roads when I was coming? Like, I don't understand why we were on dirt roads coming and paved roads back. But if we ended up getting back to the car, I think in like 5 hours.
Yeah.
So everything happened. And in that moment, that's when I was just like, there's so much power in prayer,
Yeah.
but there's also power in the tongue, right? Like, I was amazed and like shocked and in awe that I prayed something that some people might seem is like so trivial. Like, why would you pray about something like that? But my relationship with God is very conversational. I talk to him about everything. Nothing is off limits.
Yeah.
Nothing is off limits in my conversation. I mean, even as far as like I could be driving, I'm like, Lord, when I get to this location, please let me find parking that's in a suitable place near this. Like I pray for everything. Nothing is off the table when it
Yeah.
comes to God and my conversations with him.
I love that. And I love because it kind of brings me to let us know that God, he will test us as well. And like you and we had actually brought this up before, is when the gentleman said, when you offered him his watermelon or offered him your watermelon, and he said, I just wanted to see if you would give it to me. That to me is very, very profound because it feels like that was God. Because I know in the Bible, I can't remember. Oh, that's going to drive me crazy because I cannot remember if it was Naomi, if it was Ruth and Boaz. I can't remember, but where it was the camel, right? It was the camel, and God was saying, like, okay, if she offers the camel something, if she offers the camel something, some water as well, then that's how you know that she's for you. And that's kind of the situation there with the watermelon. Is he said, I didn't really want it, I just wanted to see if you would offer it. And that was kind of God's way of, here's the green light, this is what you wanted, now you have it, because you passed that test, you still offered it. Sometimes it's about our offering, right? God always says, it's what you give. It's what you give without wanting anything in return, without expecting anything in return. And that's basically what you were illuminating, is I don't have much, but here, did you want this? And that's what I really love about hearing that story.
Yeah. When you said that, it actually like made me think about my story in a different way because um, like you can ask God for things, but you have to be open to receiving it, right? So
Yes.
in that moment, had I probably said something differently or ignored his advance, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would not have been in a subclass that was less than 7 people, right? I could have been doing that journey in the same way that I took it coming to the country. So I when you pray for things, you also have to be praying for the ability to receive it and to maintain it and endure whatever that is. Like you can't just, God, I'm praying for this job, but it's like you get the job, but you need the ability to have the energy, the endurance to maintain it, to deal with the problematic people that work there, to deal with your ability to maintain who you are and not get caught up in the sweep of whatever goes on in that place. Like you still have to pray for the provision to maintain whatever it is that you're asking for. And
Mm-hmm.
that when you brought that to my attention, I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Like you're praying for stuff, but are you ready to receive that? Like you almost have to like welcome it in. You have to say, I am Lord, and I'm taking this with me now. Like I'm ready to have that. And I
Absolutely.
think that's beautiful in and of itself because he could give you something that you're not ready for, and it could really change your trajectory. So when you accept things that are not for you, you could be adding more steps to your process. But the fact is, he still gives you an opportunity to
Yeah.
say, I'm going to receive it or I'm not going to receive it.
Yes.
And I think that is powerful in itself because God has given us free will to do anything and all things, to follow him or not follow him. Like you have the free will to choose that. And I think that's what makes God so beautiful. It's like, he's like, I'm here for you. Whatever way you go, I'm here for you.
Right.
I'm here for you. You choose what you want to choose, and I'm still here for you. And I
Absolutely.
think that's beautiful.
I
He's like,
love it.
show up, show
Yes.
up,
Just
show
like
up as you are. Just show up.
yeah, how he says, I will never leave you nor forsake you. And a lot of people will say, well, God, why does this happen to me? Why do all these bad things keep happening to me? But sometimes we don't take the accountability of self because of that free will. And it's like, okay, well, if certain bad things keep happening to you, you have to ask yourself, well, what am I heeding to? Am I heeding to evil? Because if I heed to evil, then I'm letting it in. I'm unknowingly letting it in, but I'm the one that's inviting it in without even realizing that I'm inviting it in. And then that's how you become a slave to sin, right? Because it's like, well, it's sin that I'm practicing. So now I'm becoming a slave to sin. This is why the darkness is growing rapidly and why these things keep happening. And then sometimes, even though God allows us to suffer, sometimes it's us that prolong our suffering because we keep heeding to that evil. And to follow God is not an easy walk. Like you said before, healing is far from linear, but it's that walk that just, you got to put in work. Faith without works is dead. And you're going to have to definitely put in some work when you start following God. And like you say, you're always trusting God. You're constantly talking to God. And that's what it's about, is you want to invite God into every single thing that you do and allow him to lead. God with, okay, I'm about to get ready to wake up in the morning. What you think about this yellow shirt, right? You just start having these conversations. It's just so much fun. And you realize God is really your best friend. He is everything. And that's what I love about God. And that's what God has done for me in my life is I've gone through a whole lot, but like you, having him, asking him every single day, asking him in conversation what we should do, which way should I go, that's what it's all about with God. God is just so amazing. I love him to death.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I would add to that and say that as you are on your life's journey, we are all playing a part, right? So my experience is the three stories that I just shared, me believing God to bring someone to help me get across to go to Gambia so I wouldn't be alone. And then I don't know what her prayers may have been, if she was praying for someone to connect with to go across so she wouldn't be alone. I don't know if she was praying anything in like particular around going to visit her sister's gravesite. Like I don't know what her personal prayers were, but my prayer was to find someone, or not even to find, to be able to get to Gambia, and I trusted God to do what He needed to do to make that happen. And then my other prayer was for us to be able to find the cemetery, and I was trusting God to be able to make that happen. And like my prayer to make it back on a faster route and then a smoother route, like you you don't realize that what you're praying for is for you a lot of the times, but also for someone else. So I don't know how my prayer has impacted her. I mean, I know from personal conversations, right? Like, which I'm not going to disclose, but like, I don't know what I'm praying for and what I'm doing, how much is going to change her, impact her, or help her in her next part of her journey. And it's so important that as you are walking in your life's purpose or just in your life's journey, that you realize that every interaction you have with someone could be something that you are supposed to learn from it or something that someone else is supposed to benefit from it. And they can be very quick interactions, but that's how God works, because you never know what the who or what the messenger is going to be, right?
Mhm.
But it's the message that you need to receive, and being open to receiving that message is so important and profound in your journey, so that you don't have to stay in suffering for too long, right?
Mhm.
Now, in the part of the journey that I'm in is letting go, or letting go and removing things or people that might be slowing me up from my process of moving forward. Like,
Mhm.
it's not because I don't like you. It's not because it's sometimes you cannot elevate to the next level because you are still sitting in a place that God is trying to take you out of, right? I can't receive the blessings and I can't bless anyone else from the same place that I'm in if God is trying to take me to the next location. So sometimes it hurts to say goodbye or to disconnect or to limit interactions or behaviors in order to reach the next part of your life. But after you get to that point of letting it go and you get into that next space of like, I got one foot in, okay, this is what it feels like. I'm getting my balance. But God is still there. He's still going to hold you in that process. And you just have to have faith that whatever you're doing, every step that you're taking is a big, important part of the larger tapestry of your life, but also
Mhm.
for everybody else that you're coming in contact with. And that's why I don't take nothing that I say and do for granted, because anything I say and do could be important for somebody else, right? Or and just you sharing your portion of what you interpreted my interaction with the gentleman with the watermelon. Like I never thought about that. And it's been several years that I've had this story in my mind. I never thought about it as a test of God saying, are you ready to receive what I'm going to give to you?
Right.
Do you believe me enough that I can give this to you now?
Absolutely.
Or are you selfish in your own ways? Or are you still leaning on, your own discomfort of crazy faith or like whatever it is, and that you can't step 10 toes into what I'm about to give you because you want to keep holding on to what's back here because that makes you feel grounded. That makes you feel safe. But
Yes.
sometimes what's grounding you and making you feel safe is stifling your growth. It's
Absolutely.
literally keeping you down, So I'm just like, I'm in awe of the ways in which God keeps reminding me to keep showing up, to
Mhm.
keep believing, and then to just keep moving forward in that process.
Yeah, and to keep sharing your story, your testimony, because your testimony, I believe, is very impactful, and that's what others need to hear. Because as we were speaking about, others need to hear what it's like to experience God, and I feel that that's what our purpose is. At the end of the day, is to bring everyone back to Him. And I believe you going on this journey, on this mission to Senegal and Gambia, and it's huge. I mean, it is. I love what you do. It's very powerful. It sends a beautiful message, and I feel a lot more people really need to experience that as well.
Thank you. I really do hope people do get to experience it. If not for anything, then to just learn about other cultures. But maybe you will have a divine interaction, right?
Yes,
You never know, but you got to be open to that. You got to be open to whatever may come and be flexible in receiving that. Yeah.
absolutely. I love that.
I'm just like, I'm just like, every time I talk about the ways in which God shows up, I'm always like, do I want to share more stories? Like, how many more stories can I share? Because there's so many. And like, I'm not talking about so many just from 2020, right? Like
Mhm.
from 2020 up until now. And I'm just like, God, you do not cease to amaze me. Like, it's just, I'm in awe. I'm in
Yes,
awe. I'm in
yes,
awe. I'm constantly being reminded of the ways in which I show up in this world and the ways in which I'm supposed to show up in this world and how I'm trying to stay on the path of doing that.
hmm,
And a large part of that is in me being able to be open, honest, and vulnerable and sharing my experiences so that other people can hopefully see themselves in that or have faith or
hmm,
hope enough to believe that they are able to achieve the same things, if not more.
yeah,
And I ultimately just really want people to heal themselves and to be able to see the possibilities that their life has for them, but also to recognize that you are an important piece. You're an
absolutely.
important piece to this world. No matter how small you may think your role is, like we all are playing a major part. And I feel like we are in a time right now where a lot of people are stepping up and stepping out and
Mhm.
sharing their testimonies. And I think we're in a shifting time. And I'm hoping and praying that everyone will shift along with it in the ways that God is calling them to do and
Mhm.
be open to what he's asking them. Right. I'm really hoping because if we all just mount up,
Yes,
oh, wings like an eagle and soar, like
yes,
it will be unstoppable. We'll be unstoppable. We really will.
absolutely.
As
And
individuals, but also as a collective.
yes, and prayers are like electricity. The only way that's going to work is if you just keep them coming. Just keep praying, keep praying, keep praying. And I do believe that he's turning the world into a new world, and that's why he's calling so many people to come forward with their stories and to have this reach, and why we're crossing paths. You know what I mean? All of this is in his design, and it's all a part of his beautiful masterpieces he's always putting together.
Amen.
Yes.
Amen.
Did
I
you
want
have
you to share a story.
you want me to share a
Yeah.
story?
I know it's not usually this way, but like it just popped into my head and I'm like, I would love if Robin shared a story about how she's had divine encounters and the way in
Oh,
which God shows up in your life. You also don't have to.
no,
You
it's
don't
okay. It's just like, don't cry when I do. Okay.
have to.
Um, one of that God showed up in my life is when right before all this my podcast started. It was in 2022, and I was going through a lot, but I was in a relationship that I lost myself in this relationship, and I lost one of my closest friends also. And when he passed, it it was it hit me really, really, really hard. And I remember after that relationship and after losing him, I just lost it. I lost myself. I felt like I didn't have anything left. And I remember praying to God so hard on this night. It was in February of 2022, and I um, I asked God, and I was praying to God, and I said, God, I please don't let me die of a broken heart, because my heart was hurting so badly. Um, and when I was praying to God, it was like the presence of Him just came over me, and it stopped instantly. And it was just I didn't know how to explain that feeling of how when God, when they say he's closest to the brokenhearted, he's there for the strong as well. But when he's closest to the brokenhearted, he really is. That's when you feel him the absolute most. And when I prayed and begged him to not let me die of a broken heart, he stopped it instantly. And I could feel his presence on me. And it was just like I woke up, or not woke up, but I just stopped crying and I could just breathe again. And then, I kept having these encounters, and the house that I was living in, the roof was falling off. It was like Wild Kingdom in my house. It was like a Disney movie because everything was happening. I had like 17 raccoons in my attic. They were having babies up there. There were all kinds of hawks and cardinals and blue jays, and I mean, it was amazing. But I'm just like, why is
Jumanji.
all this happening? Like, what is going on? But the whole entire time that all this is happening, I'm like, God was telling me basically how to spiritually connect with Mother Earth, like with the animals, with the trees, with the grass, everything. He was teaching me how to not look at your situation of how bad it is, but to just listen. Let him tell you what's going on. Cause I'm like, God, now my roof that's going to be $15,000. How am I going to get out of this? I got animals coming in the house. What am I doing? Why is all of this happening now after I just went through this? How much more can I take? And he told me to sell my house. So then I'm like, okay, God, I'm selling my house because you literally spoke to me and told me to sell. I mean, he's showing me visions and dreams and this, and he's putting pieces together. He told me where to move. He showed me the name of the neighborhood of where to move. And I'm like, okay, that's an apartment. Okay, I'm going to do it. So I was just like, God's telling me to do it. I'm just going to go ahead and do it. And then everything kept lining up perfectly the way that he would show me. Then somebody, the realtor that I met, it just, boom, it was her. I knew it was her because he showed me it was her. So it was just, everything kept lining up as I was doing it. But when I moved to the apartment, I was like, okay, the apartment that he showed me was in the back of the neighborhood. And the apartment that I was moved into was in the front of the neighborhood. And I was like, okay, God, I didn't think this was it, but this is still the same neighborhood, but okay. Then a month after living in that apartment, a fire happened. And I was like, you gotta be freaking kidding me. So now this fire happened. It traumatized my children. It traumatized me. My son was on the school bus. The school bus stopped directly in front of the apartment that you see just going up in flames. And my daughter, it was you don't really realize how much you're going to panic until you're in a fire. Most people think stop, drop it, roll. No. So we're trying to pack, and my daughter, she has a retainer and some perfume, and I'm like,
it's important. Like, baby's teeth gotta stay straight, and she don't want to stay. Okay.
So my daughter was like, what, like 14 or 15 at the time. And she's getting her retainer and her perfume. She was like, I just bought this perfume. So I was just like, please go get some clothes. So we're running. And we're packing and we're doing everything. And I'm just like, God, how am I going to get through this? I have lost everything. And the news crew came after, the fire was happening, or as the fire was happening. And I looked over and it was one of my really close friends. His name is Cameron Riddle. And it was just like, I needed to see him. You know what I mean? I needed to see him. And was seeing him, it made me happy. It made me smile. And it was like, Cameron was like, for those of you who are wondering why this girl is smiling and happy right now, this is just who she is, even though her whole world is crashing down. But it was God helping me, let me know that everything's okay. And at that moment, it was very like, okay, I have both of my kids with me. They were standing here with me. I got my son off the bus. He's okay now. And it was just like you're okay. Everything's okay. I didn't know what was going to happen. I had no idea. But then we were without for a long time. We were going into a hotel, trying to figure out how to get them to school, trying to figure out this. Then we had to move my mother for about 5 or 6 months. And then he moved me back to the apartment that I'm in now. And I have a better job. I mean, it's amazing how God will take you through the fire, because you have to go. It's oh my gosh, it's just so crazy, because it's like ceramics, right? When you're molding the clay and you're putting it in a certain way, it has to go through the fire, right? And then even when you get ready to glaze it or paint it, if you want to say, but when you get ready to glaze it, you have to put it back in the fire, and that color doesn't come out until you until it goes through fire, comes out the kiln, and then you see the beauty that this pottery that you created is. And that's how it is with us. When I say that I looked beat up, like I looked beat up, bawling eyes, like, God, I seriously can't take no more. I've been going through this for 2 years. Like, how much more can I possibly take? I don't know what else you want me to do. And then that's when he brought me to this podcast. Just speak, just tell them about it. And then just like Jeremiah, what is it? Jeremiah 30 verse 2, I believe, where he says, everything that I have spoken to you, put it in a book. So then that's what led me to writing my book. Everything, all the poetry, the spoken word poetry that I was saying, everything on my podcast, everything, he led me to write it in a book. And it's just like how God moves you and how he's doing it. Even if it doesn't take off now, it's about, I'm doing this, even if it's for some generation that's not even born yet. That's how God works, because you never know who it's for. And it's about the reach. And that's why I love that I started this podcast and how people come, because now it's like through that reach, no matter what country they're in, they come, they reach out. And it's not about, it's about, I don't know, because it's not about, where I'm just looking for money. I'm looking to blow up. It's not about that. It's literally to attract those who need to hear the word of God, who need to feel God and don't have God in their life. And that's definitely my story. I know that was kind of long, but
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. It wasn't. It's beautiful because I felt like I was right there alongside you during
Mhm.
that journey. And, I shared in the last time we spoke about some of the beginning parts of your story, how that is similar to the beginning parts of how I started my healing journey. So to see where you're at, having
Mhm.
gone through what you went through, I commend you
Yeah.
for being obedient and for
Yeah.
surrendering, right? Because in order for us to reach those places, we have to surrender.
Yeah.
We have to release. We can't keep trying to control it, because like you did as much as you could controlling it and you ended up where you were, right? And now you have to, you have to have that supernatural faith, right? To be able to get to that next part. And now you're thriving,
Thank
and you seem to still have that same happy smile and
you.
persona and character. So I'm just so happy to witness you in this space, and I'm glad that you were able to make it through that and still be whole and still keep your heart and like still be able
Absolutely.
to pour into other people, because sometimes people get jaded and they get tired and they don't get out of that space, and they
Yeah.
stay there. But you have been obedient and you have surrendered to what God has called you to do, and that is beautiful in and of itself. So, my girl, pottery or not, you are flawless, okay? You are flawlessly beautiful and
Thank you.
like just made for this. You are made for this.
Oh,
I need you
thank
to I need you to hold that. I need you to hold that. Yeah.
thank you. And I
You're
try,
doing it.
and we still go through our storms. We still have issues. We still have our struggle. But like you said, it's about talking to God. You have to have that open line of communication. Like that song, Jesus is on the main line. Like that's a real talk. Even when COVID first came out, when that song had a whole new meaning when COVID first came out and I got COVID because I didn't have nobody else. Everybody was scared. And it was just like, God, it's just me and you because I literally don't have anybody else and I was scared to death. But yes, it's just you got to keep him in your life. He is really what just drives your life. You got to have him. Without him, we are truly nothing, and that's just the way that I definitely feel.
Yeah. My friends joke and they say that like I got the God line. I'm like, they said that I have the hotline to God. And I'm just like, I feel like everyone does. And they're like, no, Nandi, you think, you pray, and it happens. And I'm
Yes,
just like, we all could do that, you know?
yes,
And I want people to believe that. Like, you all can have the hotline to God. Like, He's
absolutely.
not off limits to anyone in any place. He's no respecter of persons.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah,
Jesus used to hang around with some of the roughest people. Okay. So call
yeah,
them, have your conversations, be who you are. And you're allowed to be upset and angry with him. You're allowed to give that to him and say those things to him,
yes,
right? But when you're done saying that, remember to thank him for waking you up today, for having the breath in your lungs to be able to tell him about himself, right? Like, don't forget, he still gave you an opportunity to wake up today and you
yes,
still are living this life, right? So, man, God is just, he doesn't always give you what you want, but he
yes.
gives you what you need. And sometimes he don't give it to you when you think you're supposed to have it, but it's at the time that it's supposed to come, right?
Right.
So just hold on, stay in prayer.
Yes,
And if you're struggling with any of that, reach out.
yes,
Reach out. I'm not
absolutely.
perfect and I don't know it all. And I can tell you right now, I can't quote scripture for anything, right? But what I can do is hold space, you know? What I can do is encourage you. What I can do is show you that I'm equally human like you and I'm willing to listen to you and support you, right? So, like, find someone who can show up for you to hold that space.
Yeah.
That's it. You laughing. I'm so serious.
Because I just love you. It is just so funny, but I can't either. I know a lot of the scriptures that I probably said were probably wrong. I know
It's okay. God knows your heart.
I,
You know what? And I want to add to that. I do. I do want to add to that because I have conversations with people who are very religious,
uh-huh.
and I love that for them.
Yeah.
But I tell them, need I remind you, if you believe in Jesus, Jesus was hanging around some people who
Yes.
was saying and doing some wild stuff.
Yeah.
Jesus still healed and saved people who were saying and doing wild stuff. He wasn't healing and saving people who because they knew the Bible verses. He wasn't
Right.
choosing the more you memorize, the better you are as a person. Jesus is choosing people who have open hearts and minds to want to get to know him and who want to be unconditionally loving to other people, who want to be kind to other people, who want to welcome other people in even if they don't look like you, speak the same language as you, or have the same beliefs as you. He wants you to treat others how you would treat yourself. So if you cannot respect yourself, if you cannot love yourself, then you cannot do that for anyone else.
Absolutely.
So all this to say, you may not know your scripture, but baby girl, you are holding space for other people. Okay? You
Yes.
allow other people to show up as they are, and you're
Yes.
still pouring into them. And that's what matters most. You could tell them the wrong scripture. They could go find out later. But what they are going to leave with is knowing that Robin has an open heart and she's willing and ready to listen. And she did
Yes.
not judge me for anything that I had to say or anything that I went through. And
Yes.
that's what matters. That's
I
what
love
matters.
that.
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Thank you so much. Oh my goodness, Nandi. I don't know. Something's gonna come from this. I'm telling you. I don't know if we're gonna have to collaborate. Something's going to happen, and I can feel it. And we're gonna talk about it offline. But I'm telling you, something's gonna happen.
From your lips to God's ears, baby. Listen, I'm in my season. I'm in my season. I am open and receiving anything and everything God has given to me. Okay? I am literally stepping into my purpose 10 toes down. I'm not shying away from it. I'm not being afraid of it. I was afraid of it for a very long time that I would not open myself up to what I know God has gifted me to do.
Yeah.
And oh, I'm about to cry. It's just hard when you know that you've been given a gift, because it could easily be taken away, right? I was given this gift, and the power comes from God. It does not come from me. I was given this gift, um, to be able to be in support of people, to
Yeah.
help people, whether through words, financially, whatever the case may be. I was given a gift to do something, and I'm gonna try to make it very brief, but I was in a store in Burlington Coat Factory for less than 3 or 5 minutes,
Hmm.
and I'm looking for a pair of shorts. And this guy comes up to me, never seen him a day in my life,
Hmm.
and he's trying to pass me. So I let him go by, but then I had my headphones in, but I could feel and kind of sense that he was still lingering. So I
Yeah.
turned around and I said, "Oh, okay, you're talking to me." So I take my headphone out. I'm like, "Huh?" And he's like, "Your aura, your aura." I'm like, "Really, my aura? What about my aura? Like, what you know? You know me?"
Uh-huh.
And he's like, "Your aura." And he tells you what color it is. And he
Yeah.
tells me how vibrant it is. And then he starts to tell me about my life, like
Yeah.
very specific things about me. I said, "Do you follow me on Instagram? Like, do you know me?" He's like, "Oh no, I just came from India. Like, I'm a missionary. Like, I don't know you."
Yeah.
He said, "But God told me to talk to you." I
Yeah.
said, "Oh Lord." He starts saying very specific things to me. He's like, "Nandi, you are not moved by money.
Hmm.
You are moved by love and unity in and of itself." He said,
Yeah.
"You just want people to heal. You just want people to be better versions of themselves so that they can help other people, so that the larger collective
Yeah.
could heal." And I'm just like, "You've been reading my journal? Like, who are you?" And then he tells me, "I come from a long line of a certain set of people,
Hmm.
and that I have been given a gift." And he said, "You are supposed to go out into the world, and you
Hmm.
are going to travel, and you are going to impact people that you meet
Yeah.
just in your journey." Like, that's what it, he's like, "You're not," he said, "you're not the traditional form of a priest. Your
Hmm.
priesthood, your ability, your ministry is," what he
Yeah.
said, "is out in the world. Out
Yeah.
in the world. You meet people, you do what needs to be done, you provide for them in those moments, and you carry on and you carry on."
Yeah.
And he proceeded to tell me a whole bunch of other stuff about me. And I was just flabbergasted because I was just like, "Who is this person? Can I believe you? Because where did you just come from?" But
Right.
like I said, don't judge the messenger, listen to the message. So I listened to the message.
Yeah.
Fast forward 2 years later, this happened a couple of weeks ago, maybe last month. I get on a call with someone to talk to them about Nature's Bomb and about the cultural birthright experiences going to Senegal and the Gambia. And they share with me how they had trepidation about taking the call because they had some uncomfortable experiences with certain people from the African continent that have kind of left them feeling a little um, disheartened, to say the least, and like lack of interest in visiting Africa or engaging much. And when they told me their experiences, I said, "You have every right to feel how you feel. You really do." And then I poured into them to let them know that like what they did was wrong. That doesn't make it right. What they did was wrong, but we cannot think of the whole group as you cannot think of these individuals as being the whole group of people in the continent or just anybody in the world, that you should no longer have, the faith to believe that these experiences can change or that your heart can change and stuff. And as we're having this conversation, they're telling me, I was feeling like my walls were up, but as I'm talking to you, they're coming down. And I believe God sent you here to talk to me about this. She said, because you didn't know that I had these experiences and that I was apprehensive about these people and how what they've done to me, but like you're helping me to soften my heart. And what I didn't realize in the moment was that they were then going to turn around and pour into me. And then they said that my ministry is that I will go out into the world and meet people and talk to people, and that I will never run tired. Like my shoes will never have holes, and I will be pulling from a bag that never empties. And in that moment, I was just like, okay, you're not the first person, you're not the second person, but you are not the third person or the fourth person to tell me the same verbiage that someone else has told me. And I said, okay, God, I have no choice but to continue doing what you've asked me to do, to continue moving out on this path. So, like, me being on this podcast is me being in obedience to God and saying, like, I'm just going to keep reaching people wherever they are to let them know about the opportunity to heal, the opportunity to learn, the opportunity to grow. And hopefully that them as an individual will be able to do that and then turn around and help maybe 2, 3, 4, or multitudes of people after them. So all this to say that, like, the way God speaks to you may not always be in a song, may not always be with a bird in nature, may just simply be with someone telling you a story about what they see. Like you said, the vision that you had that popped up, and I'm telling you a story, and then it coalesces, right? Like some people have visions, and some people are able to tell you what those visions are. And you sharing that message made me realize that the story that I needed to tell you was that story. Like I needed to tell you that story because that story might actually impact someone, might help someone see themselves in a way or begin to turn to God in another way. And that's all I'm here to do. I'm just here to help you as a person in any capacity that I can, but ultimately so that you are a better version of you. That's all I'm here to do.
Yes, absolutely. And I just want to add to, it's not always that something has to happen, but if something does happen and your life is being turned upside down, sometimes that happens because that's the only way that God can grab our attention. Sometimes he has to take from us in order for us to listen. Sometimes he's going to empty that cup so he can fill us, he can fill our cup with him. And that's why when you can't really, know how to obtain and maintain plenty without being empty first, because you got to know that what it is that you already have, what God has already blessed you with is plenty. But I'm going to show you, God may show us, I'm going to really show you what it's like to not have anything, to completely empty your cup. So then that way you can see that I am the provider. God is the provider. And as long as you have him, you are filthy rich. We are abundantly rich. Just the simple fact that we have God in our lives. And that's what I absolutely love. And that's the message that I definitely want to reach others as well.
Amen. Amen. Ashe. Ashe.
Thank you so much.
No, thank you.
Pleasure having you back. And yeah, so that's it. Do you have anything else to add to the listeners?
Faith begins where your understanding ends.
Yeah.
You're not gonna know everything, but the moment you stop trying to understand everything and you just have no choice, or you're choosing to only believe in having faith for the thing, that's where the faith begins. You can't control for it. You can't try to plan for it. You just have to let it be.
Yes,
let it be.
I love that. I love that because then God will give you that understanding, whether it's weeks later, years later. It's just, I love how he brings it together in his time.
Amen.
I agree. But thank you again so much. I have to actually jump on another podcast. But again, I'm Robin Black. This is It's All About Healing Podcast. And thank you again, Miss Nandi Kaye with Nature is Bomb. Everyone, stay blessed. Again, I'm your host, Robin Black, and this is It's All About Healing podcast. If you're navigating grief, toxic relationships, trauma, financial pressure, or the slow work of rebuilding after setback piled upon setback, this channel is for you. Our community now spans 118 countries, proof that real stories travel and that healing accelerates when we carry one another. Share your story, lend your voice, and let grace turn pain into purpose. Book your podcast in the link below and share your story. Be sure to like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit that notification bell. Wherever you are in the world, good morning, good evening, and good night. Stay blessed.